Westray at 18 square miles is the 6th largest island in the Orkney group. 600 people and 17 magnificent beaches. It's been inhabited for thousands of years, and judging by the scale of the architecture the pre-Christians left behind, they were living pretty good lives. One of the buildings here had a 10-metre long corridor, an internal freshwater well with steps going down 2.5 metres, and a sauna. Oh yes, Nordic types, you see. And it was here they found the Westray wife. It's the oldest face in Britain, and she looks like a grumpy old cow. Today, Westronians peacefully plough their fields with antique Fergies. They tend the happiest cattle in the world, and they torture salmon in fish farms. But on long summer evenings, there are a few things the locals like more than some cutthroat dinghy racing in their traditional yawls. That evening, Jill and I watched the sun go down on the second beach of the day. The weatherman was talking about light northerlies, so no good at all for getting to Shetland. I hatched a simple plan that should allow us to spend 2 days reaching and running with just a bit of beating. The idea was to go and see a burial chamber on Sanday, 1.5 islands to the east, spend a night in Kettletoft Bay and then swoosh back to Pierrewall, riding Rosts all the way. The next morning, soon after dawn, the clouds cleared, and before we knew it, we were surging through the water the way only a centaur can. Man, I love life when the spinnaker is flying. It's the closest a sailor can ever come to seeing the wind. With Harmony going at hull speed, I can ask no more of the weather gods. Sailing really doesn't get better than this. I had expected to kill time until the tide turned in our favour down Calf Sound, but the power of the gentle northerly filling the spinnaker drove us inexorably on through the oncoming water. I started to play with the rost, feeling the power of the tiller, but with the wind in the sails I could choose where to face the rolling mass of water. Lovely. But all good things come to an end, and the spinnaker came down and it turned into a fetch, and soon after it clouded over. But there was still plenty of power in the wind to drive us through the rosts between Eday and Sanday. I'm amazed at how sharp the edges of these wave patterns are. 1 second you're in calmish water. Within yards it starts chopping up enough to make Jill think it's time to close the hatch. The rough patch ended as abruptly as it had started, and it was a long damp fetch into the sheltered harbour at Kettletoft, far sooner than I had predicted. We got in the dinghy and headed across the sound and landed on the next headland.
Look, you can see how clean the air is here. Look at these walls. You won't find many places with walls like this. This is a crop of oats. They don't grow many, but there would have been potatoes and turnips and swedes and all sorts of things grown here.
A quick walk around the edge of a field, and there is Coyness Chamber. And now you can hear the old man groan as he crawls on his hands and knees like a supplicant into this space once held sacred by the Orcadians who lived here thousands of years ago. The people who lived in these islands 5,000 years ago had complex lives. They could work metals, make pots, weave cloth, tan leather, use draft animals and wheels. They made music, created stories, made up poems and songs. They knew how to make wooden boats and how to sail. They also had a complex way of death. No one has a clue what the rituals were because writing hadn't arrived here. Ideas were passed down through the generations in the heads of Orcadians, a very uncertain way to pass on information. For some reason they decided that it was better to bury people in large stone chambers than to bury them in the ground.
You coming out then?
I am.
You're a big person.
And that evening, yet another great Orkney sunset. Wow. The next morning, the promised strengthening northerlies started to arrive, so we had a marvellously boisterous ride back to Pierrot Wall. I was really starting to enjoy these quick journey times, made possible by the combination of the fast-flowing rosts and rapid airflows that surge around these amazing islands. I had started out being careful with the rosts. Initially, they were a source of fear and fascination. Now I was beginning to learn how to use them and enjoy their power. As for the sailing scenery, what can I say? Superbly inspiring. Conditions were what centaurs were built for. The ultimate boat for adventurous old Englishmen. We got back to Westray and plugged ourselves into the power cables and watched through the windows as the Orkney weather started to take a serious turn for the worse. We were holed up in Pierrot Wall for 4 days. It gave us loads of time to read books though. But the rain wasn't relentless and we did get the odd gap between showers, so that gave us a chance to explore the island by foot, bike and thumb.
I'm filming the dinghies. This is our fourth day in Pierrot Wall now. I think it was 2 days before we started, so yeah, it is our fourth day. And it's still blowing hard. Tomorrow's going to be fine, but along here there are other sailors with not much to do, looking for things to do. This is the Heritage Centre here. And these are the little walls that they used to use for drying the seaweed. Here is a fantastic whale skeleton, all mouth. This is one of the little kind of stone wall things that they used for protecting their boats. Not much protection, I have to say. Boats and noosts, or nousts as they pronounce it. Island only has a population of 600. There are 2 shops. There's one here.
We did our shopping in the general store on Westray. What a most
Sells everything
remarkable
from
place it
wheelbarrows
is.
to gateposts, compost, big selection of wheelbarrows, and I'm going to take you in here. Good fruit and vegetables. And here, if you want to buy stuff, there is internet webcams, torches, deep fat fryers. Amazing. The shop is absolutely amazing. You wonder what else you could want. Bubble wands, toy racers, frisbees, dog bowls, cushions, mugs, toy gun, tennis balls, water bombs, magic bombs, camping gas, nuts and bolts. I just wonder what anybody else could ever want. What is the point of a shopping centre when people have a shop like yours?
That's right, yes. More through in the store there.
There's more through in... What, goodness gracious me.
Didn't it used to be, but we're out of space in here, so a lot of it is just, a lot of it's just backup stuff, but...
Boots with high heels too.
Yes, yeah.
How many of those a year do you sell?
Not very many. It's just more or less backup stock bits around the back there, but there's plumbing stuff here and there's bolts and all over there.
Do you sell jeans as well?
Yes,
Do you?
Aye.
Black jeans?
No, I don't think so. Just meantime, no. It's just the denim type
Well, I
ones.
do need a pair of jeans actually.
But, I don't know what's left just now.
Where are they?
They're right through in the back there.
Thank you.
I don't know what size is left. Again, there's not that very many left. A varied stock.
You do have that is an underplaying of the word varied. Cassettes as well, blimey.
Yeah, no, I go down to Glasgow and put it up.
And you're Mr. Randall, are you?
I am indeed, yeah.
How long have your family had the place?
I've been doing this for 42 years,
Have you?
so I'm just about to give up.
Are you?
I'm retiring age. So,
Have you got somebody to take over?
no, there's none of my family that wants it. No,
Do they not?
No.
My dad was a tailor and none of us wanted to do his job either.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
My great-grandfather, he was a tailor as well.
Was he really? Up here?
Yeah,
On the island?
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I started off to work to him on a Saturday when I was 13. And when he died, his son, my granduncle, took over just a small wooden shop just over the road here.
Yeah.
And so I was there until I was 19. Then I went to one of the other shops just along the seafront there, and I learned the butchery trade there. And so
How many shops were there?
there's 3 left now.
Yeah. How many were there?
Well, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just in this area here, and one down at the other end of the island. And then there was kind of small, maybe a couple of small ones as well, that they kept more things that kind of, while the boys gathered at night, they would go in and they would buy sweets and lemonade and things like that. So
It's a great shop, I have to say. I think it is an amazing shop that you have here.
And, there's very few places now that you would really just don't get places like this, really.
You don't?
No, that hits the full, no the range of what we have. Yeah. But,
Right, well let's get a basket. Bread.
And we also did a few more beaches and took loads and loads of pictures.
One thing Scotland does brilliantly is, it does loads of things brilliantly. It does brilliant music, it does great beaches, just fantastic scenery. The scenery here is not you sideways amazing. The wildlife is splendid in every way. Right now there are some terns flying over my head. They're just letting me know that if I walk through their colony they're going to get me. This is an absolutely brilliant beach. We've been here for 2 hours. Just walking around, and I mean, look at what I'm walking on. Look. It's a pattern that repeats, but not repeats. There's a pattern to it, but you can see. Look, I mean, look at this. The stones are really evenly distributed. The sand is in here. Every now and again, every 5 or 6 paces, there's a bit of seaweed. Beautifully stretched out. And the sand looks divine. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Could you hear the call change towards the end? At the beginning there was that, it goes, "Via, via, via," and then when they've won they're going, "Chup, chup, chup, chup." She's calling the others off. If you're going to be dive bombed by birds, you might as well be dive bombed by some of the prettiest and best flyers of the seabirds, the terns. They're lovely, lovely bird creatures.
We also did a fair amount of eating at the chip shop. It's open just twice a week, and we appreciated the graveyard.
Crosskirk Turcoy, west side. This church was dedicated to the Holy Cross. The square-ended chancel, which was vaulted, and the east end of the nave were built in the 12th century. The west end of the nave was a later addition. The original entrance and only surviving window are still preserved in the south wall of the nave. And when they let it fall down, because they're obviously still using the graves area fairly recently. Thomas Braver, James Dernis, William Patterson, Mary Peterson, George Patterson, Charles Patterson, Anne Croat, same name as the people who run the store, Robert Reed, Drever, Peter Peterson, Betty Peterson, Peter Peterson, Mary Jane Peterson, Rubina Rendell, Marion Peterson, Ellen Paterson, William Paterson, Mary Paterson, Thomas Liddell, George Harkus, Robert Reed, who was drowned 24th of March, aged 30 years, Mary Harris, William Harkus, Margaret Patterson, 77 and 79, well done guys. Quite a few died by drowning, and there seems to be a family called Patterson and Peterson. Westray has a castle. Pretty good one by the looks of things.
We went to Noltland Castle. So here comes the history bit. This was the local seat of power and bolt hole of one Gilbert Balfour from Fife. He was a rampant Protestant who bizarrely became a hitman for rampant Catholic Mary Queen of Scots. Remember her? She was the one who was beheaded at Fotheringay, which I visited on the Nene, just off the Wash. The deed done under the orders of our own saintly good Queen Bess. Of course, Mary was a pretty nasty piece of work herself, and apparently a bit of a lusty wench to boot. At 6 foot tall, she had the most fearful appetites. Or was that just Protestant propaganda? For 2 years she was married to a French prince and heir apparent, but he died of earache. Then in 1565 Mary was married to Lord Darnley, but he was unable to satiate her appetites and keep her happy, so she started shagging an Italian musician and courtier. His name was David Rizzio, and he apparently had a lovely bass voice. Rizzio, in turn, impregnated Mary. Darnley knew that the by now obviously pregnant Mary wasn't carrying his child, so he and his mates quite openly nobbled Rizzio right in front of Mary, there in her Scottish seat of power in Holyrood. Rizzio was stabbed many, many times over with Darnley's dagger, while the good Lord held Mary down and forced her to watch the whole thing. His plan apparently was that she should be so shocked that she would miscarry, thereby giving him a chance to impregnate her. The murdering, scheming Darnley and his thuggish companions were sent away. He then got very ill and caught syphilis. Mary in turn got her new beau, James Hepburn, Lord Bothwell, to take Darnley out of the picture. For this he enlisted the help of his brother-in-law, Gilbert Balfour, the man who owned and built this castle. While Mary was at a party, Balfour and Bothwell blew up Darnley's house, but he survived, so they strangled him and, just to make sure of the deed, stabbed him a few times as well. Not nice people, these aristos. By bumping off Lord Darnley, the way was cleared for Bothwell to marry Mary, which all happened in an unseemly rush. But Balfour of Westray knew he was wading in dangerous political waters, hence the castle at Pierrewall, a place to run to should his political machinations go belly up, as they did. But this castle was a formidable bolt hole bristling with armaments. Orkneymen have always been keen on trading, and weaponry is as good as gold when it comes to a high-value, easy-to-move commodity. So obtaining the 16th century equivalents of Kalashnikovs and rocket launchers was dead easy. Noltland is a classic Z-design castle with 2 towers which give perfect cover for all 4 walls. The castle has 71 gun ports or gun loops and was bristling with carefully planned killing zones. The fine views of the approaches would give the defenders plenty of time to get ready to use them. The place would have only required a few men to defend it, but would have required an army to take it.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of the Waco HQ of the Branch Davidians. Mary's intransigence, peccadillos and addiction to plotting guaranteed that she would lose influence and power. Balfour was done for treason and had his castle nicked from him. Then the political pendulum swung the other way. They gave it back to him. Then they took it away, so he ran off to Stockholm, where he was eventually executed for attempting to assassinate the King of Sweden. All around he was a thoroughly nasty piece of work, and just the sort of company Mary, Queen of Scots, chose to surround herself with. The castle passed to his nephew Michael, who also had it taken from him by the Stuarts, who were desperate for revenge. One of the great things about the castle is that you're entirely free to wander around it at your own risk. No one there to tell you about the place. Just drink in the heady atmosphere of Scottish internecine feud-induced paranoia. If you need evidence of why monarchies are seldom a good way of running a country, then look no further than this place.
It's 3:30 in the morning, and we're going to leave Orkney, heading for Shetland. Not the first time I said this. I hope it is the last time I say this. Heading for Shetland. Now, a little bit of a breeze, lovely breeze from the south. It should be great. So we can fire up, leave the harbour, and go. Am I a bit nervous? Yes, I am a bit nervous. You can see these patches of wind coming across here. Goodbye, bird. The weatherman says that wind is going to be shifting around a fair bit today. Generally, it's in the southeast. There's the wreck of a ship here on the southern tip of Westray. I assume nowadays most of it is not navigation errors, but engine failure. The weatherman says that wind is going to be shifting around a fair bit today. Generally, it's in the southeast. Generally, it's in the
south. It will move around a bit. Tomorrow's a lot stronger, so it would be good to do it one day. So I'll keep on sailing until I get there, even if it's on into the night. I don't want to motor. Obviously, if the weather gets horrible, but as long as the weather's nice and there's a bit of a breeze that I can use, I'll just do that.
But a 4-knot being reached with a cloudless sky is never going to last for a 90-mile journey. And by the time we were halfway to Fair Isle, the wind had dropped to leave an annoying swell, which meant we endured hours of this.
Lovely patterns on the water.
Grey patterns on the grey water. Yeah. This wind is definitely filling in.
The wind didn't fill in. Still, it did mean we were making good time under power. We passed to the west of Fair Isle, where I had planned to stop, but the weatherman was promising strong winds for the next day, so I decided to save this remarkable island for the next time around. The horizon was empty again for a while before finally, after hours of brain-numbing noise, the southern tip of Shetland started to appear.
Like nothing at all.
There was a small breeze and I did optimistically raise the sails, more in hope than expectation. But the waves just shook the wind out of the flapping Dacron, so we plugged on with the Volvo doing its best to mash our brains to pulp. We decided to drop the hook for the night in the wide shallow bay just behind the marina near Sumba, where we spent a noisy night alongside the airfield. The next morning we were away early and there was a fine breeze, maybe a tad too powerful, blowing us to Lerwick. And a most excellent sail it was too.
So it should just be a nice steady reach to 45 metres. Wow. Completely different rock up here. This is all the Orkney was mostly sandstone. This is nearly all igneous rock, which has been changed by heat, so it's much tougher, which means the soils aren't as good, but the rocks are higher, more dramatic. So it should just be a nice steady reach to Lerwick. 45 metres, wow.
Initially we stuck close to the Westray shore to avoid the foul tide, but it soon turned in our favour and Harmony was jogging along in fine style.
Usually goes in two, then there's one that remains of the other one.
Eventually, the commercial traffic started to build. Things began to feel positively busy.
Right.
And finally, the outskirts of Lerwick appeared. Council flats and a bus.
Is it a building or is it a boat?
The town and all this activity felt extremely weird after so many weeks away from the bustle. We tied up to the pontoon in the middle of town. Bit of a milestone for this little journey around the UK. I drank a celebratory glass of scotch. Or two. Or maybe three.